I just don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Well, we've just watched a very, very short game of association football in a European competition. Liverpool 0, Atalanta 2. Mick, I don't know. Shit game, mate, weren't it? At the end of the day, really, really shit.
Is it actually a Champions League run or group if we still don't have one game or a couple of games where they're absolutely shite? So,
good point, mate. Really
that was so frustrating. What was that? Was it fucking no shots on target? That was the most frustrating thing for me. I mean, they were boss. Like, let's not get it twisted. They were great. Like, they were every player all over the pitch. It was like they were like, right, we got absolutely battered the other week. Let's show them like that we're actually good footballers, and they are. Like, to be honest, they're really good.
Very good team.
But we just couldn't get at them. Like, everything we tried, they were just quicker at everything tonight. Every second ball they were there, and it was really frustrating to watch. But for Atalanta perspective, they were great. So they deserve to win, and that's it. It's a shame, but we need the draw next week against Ajax, to qualify. So if we get that, then we're sorted. It's just a shame the way it went, and it's a shame for Neco Williams and Reece Williams and Curtis Jones, all the young lads who've played tonight. It's a big occasion for them, and we've ended up losing the game for what feels like forever at Anfield. So obviously not in the league, but since I think it's the first loss in the Champions League, and it's since Atletico Madrid. So it's been a long time coming, but it's just it wasn't the way we lost. It wasn't how we lost. It was the way we lost, as Klopp likes to say. That was the thing.
No, it's true. And Matt, I think we said in the pre-match show, didn't we, that we were expecting goals from Liverpool, and we thought I think maybe a lot of last week, the game from away in Atalanta played into our minds a lot of it. But I just want to look at like a double-edged sword. Imagine the fume at the minute, the fact that Liverpool have been beaten 2-0 in the Champions League and we haven't qualified from that group. People can't have it both ways. Now, if Klopp had played a really, really strong side that had won the game, but we got an injury to Fabinho, or we got an injury to Wijnaldum, or we got an injury to Salah or something like that, people would then be saying, well, why the fuck has he played a strong side there? We didn't really need to win. We've got another 2 games, and Brighton's really important. And, you can't have it both ways, can you? But on the grand scheme of things, you just take it on a game-by-game basis. Atalanta were prepared for that game, and we weren't in a roundabout way, weren't we? They were right up for it.
This was, what we said, was it a couple of weeks back when we beat Atlanta 5-0? And we were like, did we play really well, or were they just bad? Now, this is like the complete inverse. They were great, they were drilled, and we were shocking. Now, I was watching the match, and for the life of me, I don't understand that little turn that Neco Williams insists on doing. But he's a young kid. I'm going to leave him alone for this because he'll improve. The attitude of some of our players was disgraceful. Like, this was like, we beat them 5-0. We've got this game won. It's Anfield. I'm just going to walk on the pitch and be fine. Yeah, okay, fair enough. If he fields a strong team, then people are complaining about injuries. But that team was strong enough. We had Mane and Salah, the 2 main men, who were nowhere to be seen, literally nowhere to be seen. Mane was just walking around like he owns the place, didn't do anything. Origi, Mick text halfway through the game going, he's shite. He's
Don't be saying that. You can't tell them my deepest secrets while we're on air. Fuck that, lad.
It was.
Yeah, but no, he was.
It was so.
Everything breaks down when Origi gets the ball, and that's the fruit. I will him to do good, and I will him to do something creative, but unfortunately he doesn't. And I don't know if that's a lack of game time, a lack of confidence. I don't know what it is, but it's when you're missing like a proper figurehead up there, like a Firmino or whoever wants to play up top. And if the front 3 aren't as fluid as we're expecting them to be, the whole team suffers. I think that's the thing. When you're trying to fit someone in there who doesn't quite fit, then it all collapses for me. And I think that's where we went down, where we fell down, because we couldn't sustain attacks because of it.
I don't mind the loss. Like, you're going to lose in a season, that's fine. it's how they've lost. It's not even the two we could have lost. If we would have lost 2-0, but they would have been fighting for the whole game, then fair enough. But it's just the air of arrogance of we're Liverpool, we're going to win, like some of the players had. It's just...
Do you reckon it was arrogance? I mean, Mick, what do you think about what Matt's just said there when he said it's an air of arrogance? Do you think that's the right way to put it, or do you think it was something different?
I wouldn't put it as arrogance. I would put it as, this is the game where we can secure passage to the next round. We're not going to treat it as a live or die game. It's going to be a game where if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. And I think that's, if you try and do that in a Klopp team, you're bound to lose, because you need to treat every game like the players always say, the next game is the most important game. And this game felt like, it did feel a bit like, if it ends up happening, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. It was kind of like, we were, and I understand there was a lot of changes, like Michael Williams, Reece Williams, and on Origi starting as well. So there's a lot of change there in a lot of key areas. So I understand it was a bit fragmented, and for the whole, I was going to say at times, but for the whole game, it was fragmented all over. So that's to be expected. But I wouldn't say arrogance. I'd say maybe.
Arrogant.
No. Words. I'll get me dictionary. Come back to me in 5 minutes.
So you know what frustrated, the thing that, because I was watching the game sort of in disbelief, and the thing that really pissed me off, and obviously I was annoyed watching the performance in general, but what really got to me was, I think it was the 86th minute, and they're 2-0 up, and an Atlanta centre back is sprinting his arse off to stop the ball going out for a corner.
The arrogance of it.
And our players, like, for until like the last 20 minutes, just didn't look like they gave a shit.
Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from, mate. I think, like, we take it on the way the game progresses. Like Greg just said, we sat back and let them have the ball in front of their own goal in the first half. There was no pressing, which obviously stems from what the front three were doing, and it was dead frustrating. It's not like we normally play. And I think Greg's spot on there. That's not how Liverpool have been playing this season, given the fact that we've had all these injuries and stuff like that. But Matt, when you obviously about the whole arrogance thing, I think there was an element of it in there where you're absolutely spot on, where they were like, well, we beat them 5-0, we're at home. The team lineup was more than good enough to dispose of Atalanta. Not in the case of, whip their asses 5-0 again, but, we're more than capable of beating them and getting the 3 points. But we have to remember that this is a side that progressed quite well in the Champions League last season, and they weren't to be taken lightly. And I think maybe we did do that, but obviously Klopp had one eye on the game on Saturday, and obviously all the media this week has been about the fact that a team playing on a Wednesday night in the Champions League has the early kickoff on a Saturday, and that would have been playing on his mind. And what does he do? You are in a catch-22 situation, aren't you, Mick, with that? And I think, Mick, I want to find out on this point is, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. If he picks a strong lineup, then everybody's saying like the league's the bread and butter. With the Champions League now, we've still got another 2 chances to get through this group, haven't we? No issues whatsoever. And I'm perfectly fine with sacrificing this game to make sure we get the 3 points on Saturday, knowing that we've got 2 more games to sort this group up.
I am, and I've thought of the word that I was longing for before. It was complacency. I think that's what it was. It was we know we've battered them. We know we can do it again, and I think it was just we just kind of expected it to happen again, and it didn't. It didn't quite happen because we didn't have the right. Yeah. Obviously, like you said there, Jay, like we didn't have the right personnel, and like you said, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, because we had a bit of a gap, so we could have afforded these young lads a game in this game, and the fact that we've lost it, we can't be overly surprised because Atalanta are great, and I think we made them look proper shit last week when we battered them, and I think that was like we were on top form, they were underestimated us, we were on top quality form, and now this time they knew exactly what we were going to do and set themselves up perfectly to not be done again, and the fact is that they were all over the pitch, 100% every tackle, like their centre half, was it Romero, whatever his name was, that Argentinian, Jesus Christ, he was like prime fucking Cara. He was everywhere. He was just getting tackles, headers, winning everything. He was boss. It might be another one we can look at in January, but yeah, I think if you're looking at Saturday, away to Brighton, early kick-off, like you said, Jay, like it's difficult to say after such a bad loss and you're so downhearted. But if we go and win batter Brighton like 5-0, then we're like, well, it was worth taking that hit in midweek in the Champions League. The fact is, we can go and secure passage to the next round if we draw to Ajax next week. So you've just got to have the overall picture. That's the thing. That's
it, mate. And Mick's just put, into a really good perspective there. You've got to think of the overall picture, and at the end of the day, we are in a decent position in the Champions League group. Despite that loss, we're still top of it. We're a point ahead. We can do it we win one of our last 2 games. It's not, hopefully, touch wood, it's not going to be an issue. But at the end of the day, when we look at the Brighton game, that's still a tough away fixture, early on in the day. And we are toe-to-toe with Tottenham at the minute. There are teams that are faulting in, like City. We're a lot of points ahead of them, and we are challenging for this title yet again, despite what's going on. And I think at the end of the day, you ask a lot of people, and this is just putting it on blast at the minute, people would rather have number 20 than number 7 this year, wouldn't they? And that's not for me to say, oh, we've just lost in the Champions League, I'm losing my head, I want to fucking get knocked out and not asked about it. Obviously not. But what I'm saying is, in this grand scheme of things, between Wednesday today on the 25th and Saturday, it's not really that big a deal, is it?
Like I said, the anger isn't the loss, as we've got games to make up for it. A good start in the Champions League, we could take a hit. We didn't think we'd be 9 points in at this point anyway, at the start of the match. So it's fine. It was the manner of the defeat. I think, of course, Brighton's very important, and you'd like to think that Klopp's going to put a rocket up their arse, but he definitely is. And they're going to come out firing on Saturday. I think, if anything, one thing's been made very clear tonight, and I'm glad it happened, because that front three, Mane and Salah aren't the same without Bobby there, and that guy's been getting a lot of grief for the past few weeks. And I think it might have been different, it might not have been different if Bobby was playing, but one thing's for certain, those two look a lot better when it's Firmino instead of Origi. So I think people need to get off Bobby's back, which hopefully they will now that he's scored. But now in a bit of positivity, I think Reece Williams had a really good game. I think Reece Williams was not at fault for anything. He was very commanding in the air. He looked solid. He looked good. And it's just a shame that what happened. But I thought he was very good.
Yeah, he was. Mick, I think he didn't do any wrong, did he? I mean, obviously, in terms of the goal, maybe positioning was a bit out. I think the first goal, especially, Matip was sort of on the edge of the area, so we really couldn't do much about it. But I think from a positioning perspective, I think Tsimikas was out of position slightly. I think Robbo does get to that ball to clear it than Tsimikas does, which is, again, it's unfortunate at the end of the day. But maybe there was a bit of naivety from the cross from Neco, not sort of, blocking Gomez for the cross and stuff like that. But again, it was a cracking ball, and Atalanta scored 2 really good goals. But again, it was sort of like Atalanta was so good at the back, and we were so poor going forward. It's a weird balance, isn't it?
Yeah, and like for the first goal, like Gomez for them, like how good is he? Let's be honest, he is absolutely quality, and the speed he puts in on that cross for the first goal. It's kind of undefendable. Like you can't really defend against that unless you block the cross. You can't do anything about it. Once it's left his foot, you're pretty much fucked, because he's hit it right on the money and have scored from it. I think, like we touched on the pod before before the game kicked off, like having Neco Williams and Reece Williams next to each other was always going to be a gamble. I just hope that we had enough quality up the top end of the pitch to score some goals to kind of gloss over it and give them guys like kind of a rite of passage and like see if maybe they could hold them out. And I think if we would have scored early on, I think we just didn't start the game right. I think that was it. We didn't have the right energy from the get-go, like you'd expect from a Klopp team, and you could tell from Klopp on the sidelines he was absolutely fuming. Like the first half, probably the whole game. What was that match?
Yeah, he should have been behind earlier. Like we gave them 2 chances. I think it was Salah with a poor pass to Ilicic, and then Gomez got put through as well from the edge of the area. Like it could have been worse. And I think the opening 15 minutes, and Goossens have that shot that Alisson did very well to get at his near post as well. But it could have been a lot worse from the start. And I think, like Mick said, the start of the game sort of showed where this was going, because we usually start well, and then if anything, we trail off as the half goes on. We don't start badly and then get better. So it was very reminiscent to like how we started against Villa. Thankfully, it wasn't 7. But it was very reminiscent to that, and it's like we said before on the team reaction podcast, which was Atalanta were definitely going to target our right flank, and that's what they did. Like both the crosses from Papu Gomez came from the left, from their left wing, our right back position. So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, of course they did, mate. They did know what they were doing. One of the things I did notice a lot on that right hand side was the space Nico Williams was getting was, when you look at him down that right hand side and you look at Trent, I think Nico Williams is a really good defender, but at the minute he's not offering as much going forward as what Trent would do. And in these European games, you do get more space than you do in the Premier League. And some of the balls and the opportunities that Nico Williams had to play a ball in, and he didn't do it, and he just went inside or he went short. And then some of the times he was playing a ball that was just way over the top and it was overhit. And you do miss Trent Alexander-Arnold down that right-hand side, Mick. And again, not that I'm jumping on the Nico Williams bandwagon of, he's really not. He's a good defender. But it just proves it that in Europe we do miss Trent Alexander-Arnold, doesn't it? Don't we?
Yeah, and I think it's like in any game of footy, like, if you played Sunday League, if you're playing left wing and you know that their right back's a bit shit. I'm not saying Nico Williams is shit, by the way, but I'm saying if you pressure him, like if Trent was there, they know if they press him, he's got the quality on the ball to knock it round and run round and then play another pass. So they give it. They know if they close him down, it's a wasted run. But with Nico Williams, he maybe takes too many touches. He allows that press to come on. And that's when he does that, like Matt said, that little turn round the corner, which worked a couple of times, to be fair, and he played it down the wing for Salah, but he does that too often. And I think that he's a 19-year-old kid. It's good. It'll come eventually. Like I've already seen a few tweets just absolutely digging him out. And like, I understand what you're saying, like being frustrated with how he played, but he needs these games. These games are vital learning. It's a vital learning curve for him. Like these games are perfect for him. Right, he'll look back in a couple of years and go, right, that Atalanta game I really learned a lot in terms of 1-2 touch, bang into centre back, into the centre midfield. And that's what Trent does. Trent gets it. Someone makes a run into the space, he knocks it into it straight away. And that's what I mean. If Trent was in there, they wouldn't have even considered that an option to close him down. But with him, they obviously identified him as a weakness because he's a young kid and they knew they could get at him. And that's the way they did it, and it worked a treat, and that's what they did. And like you said, both the goals came from that side, so they played to the strengths, and it worked in their favour. But I'm trying to be positive overall and think that this could be a good thing for him. That he could earn a lot from it, and it's all development at this stage in his career. That's why Klopp's put him in. That's exactly why he's put him in, because he knows he needs these against a really, really good Atlanta side. Let's not get it wrong. They are. On that game, they were quality. Like you'd happily watch them every week if they were playing like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like I hope people, like you said, don't dig out Nico Williams to the extent that they did last time, because he is the weak link in that team. Let's not sugarcoat it. He's not the best one in that team. But if the team performed brilliantly, and then it was all his fault, then fair enough, like you're going to get grief. But no one performed, so it's not fair to now go and pick the weak link and be like, it's your fault, because players like Mane, players like Salah, players like Gini Wijnaldum, like world-class players should be just making his job easier, whether that's scoring the goals or pressing Atlanta or just not leaving him on his own. So yeah, he didn't have a good game, but no one did. So I hope that the fan base doesn't get get venomous like he did last time and target him, because that's not going to do him any confidence or any good whatsoever for his confidence. Like this could be the catalyst for him to kick on and be like, look, I learned this, I learned that, but we can't just target him because it wasn't just him.
No, absolutely right, Matt. And I think what Matt's just made a good point there, that there was no standout performance today from Liverpool. If you could say anybody, it might have been Alisson, considering some of his positioning was fantastic, and some of the balls that he came for really did bail out the defence. But Matt, I want to pick up on what Matt said there, Mick, about confidence. You picked up on Origi beforehand. What frustrates me the most about this now is we've had a few chances now where Origi has played when one of Mane, Salah or Firmino hasn't played. And Origi gets the nod tonight when we all expected Minamino to fill that void. And I think it was more than a good opportunity for Minamino to play that Bobby role. Because I think if anybody out the backup forwards, it's going to be Minamino that can play that Bobby role. Not as well, and nowhere near to that ability, but they've got very similar brains, haven't they? And I think he'd be more suited to that than Origi.
Yeah, I think I've said it before, if you had to pick a person to take like you said, to take Bobby's role, it would be Tahi, and he's the more aligned, similar to him. Like Origi, for me, there was just too many times where it's been played over the top. Hopefully he's chasing it, but he's not really chasing it full pelt. He's chasing it like, I'm not going to get this, but I'll make it look like I'm running. And it's that, and it's the
running not to get
played into him. Yeah, he had a few good touches where he get played into him, and he held it up all right, but then he got fouled. But when you play in that role for Liverpool as a forward and you're dropping into the hole, you've got to be absolutely perfect. You can't make any mistakes, because it gets fired into your feet, that venom. You've got to take a touch and get out your feet, and that's why Bobby struggled recently, because he's had confidence issues. So we've seen that highlighted. Like if Bobby Firmino can have off days, anyone can. But for me, Origi, it's just I don't know what his best position is. That's the problem. Like I said before on the pod before, if I see him on the left, I'm worried, because it's too predictable. He cuts in and takes too many touches. And on the evidence of tonight, when he's playing through the middle, I don't know what we're benefiting from it. Like you said, Tahi would have been perfect. If I can't really question Jurgen Klopp's judgment. Like, he wanted to give Origi a go, but it would, like you said, Jay, it would have been absolutely perfect for Minamino tonight. Like dropping in the hole, playing it around the corner, especially against their defense was like flying out for tackles, coming way out probably like halfway into their own half of the pitch, like to make headers and to make tackles to break us down. Like Minamino would then naturally drop a bit deeper to pick it up, like Firmino does when there's a lack of space. He'll drop in even deeper, pick it up, knock it off, and then run forward to try and make more space. But Origi hasn't got that in there. I don't think he's got that game intelligence to do that and link up play. I think he wants it either into feet, into chest, or over the top of the defender. And I think it feels like he's lost a yard of pace, because I'm sure he used to be quicker than this, than he's been showing. And like I said, I don't know if it's a lack of confidence, lack of game time. I don't know what it is, but like I always worry when I see Origi starting, and it was the same tonight, because he played exactly like I thought he would, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Can I add something on Origi? He's no doubt Liverpool legend now, because what he did in that Champions League run-up, right? But I think aside from the match against Barca, which he had the game of his life, and he's never going to play like that again, regardless of what team he's in, what role he's playing, he will never play like that again, because that was just out of his skin. He'll never do that again. That season when he came on, he had big moments against Newcastle, against Everton specifically. He came on towards the end as a big man up top, just get it to him and let's see what happens. And that's where he works really well. He's a big physical presence that it's just not easy to get the ball off him, because he's just strong and he gets up there and he'll win a header. If you're going to ask him to go and play a Firmino role, he's not going to do it. He hasn't got the touch, the vision, the quality that I think was it Curtis Jones won the ball back in the first half. And it went straight to Origi, and Origi had the chance to slip Salah through first time, and instead of doing that, he took a touch and tried to chip it over the defense. Like, no. I think apart from the fact that he's not suited to play the role, I think when we see him in the lineup, we're hoping that he's going to do something that he just can't do, and he's just not going to win like that. I think he's very much a last-ditch option. Come off the bench and see what you can do. But starting, it's never going to work.
No, it's true. I think again, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Because it was such a shocking performance. And Mick, I want to come to you with what Mark Smith just said. He said that was shocking. Should have started the strongest 11, tried to get 2 or 3 up and then change it. So obviously we spoke earlier, didn't we, Mick, about, you know, if you play your strongest 11 in that game, you run the risk of obviously getting an injury and all that type of stuff, considering we've got 2 more games to try and salvage it. We've got Brighton at the weekend in the early kickoff. But what Matt just said there is, like, try to get 2 or 3 and then change it. He makes a good point, and I see where he's coming from with it, because if you get a couple of goals up and then the game's wrapped up, you can start making them substitutions. But maybe we sort of expected Atalanta to be a much better side than what they were a couple of weeks ago, because we were just absolutely fucking bollocks, weren't we? Do you know what I mean? Mark just said hello, Mick, as well. So it's a nice little shout out to you. But what do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon it was right for Klopp to pick the lineup he should have done, or should we have gone with what Mark's suggesting and play strongest 11, get 2 or 3, and then change it?
I think, like you said, if we didn't have a cushion, if this was a last game of the group and we had to win, or we had to get a point, there's no doubt we would have picked stats like strongest 11. But it was either, like, there's so many injury issues at the minute. If we didn't have all these, if we had a full complement of squad, then yeah, you maybe would have, and we might have seen Robbo start, and we would have seen maybe Jota starting with knowing we had a stronger bench to select from. But the fact of the matter is we haven't. We're playing 2 19-year-olds, right back, centre back. Curtis Jones, obviously, who played well in the last game, he tried his best tonight as well. And then we've got Origi starting, who hasn't been in the squad recently. So it was a gamble, and we always knew it was a gamble. But if you told me before the game, do you want to start the best team tonight, run the risk of more injuries, which I'm always worried about now, and we all should be with the pile and fixture list, I would have said, like, let's play the exact team we played tonight, obviously minus Minamino for Origi, and then play full complement of players on against Brighton, because I think let's have a look. Chelsea are playing Spurs on Sunday, so we win the kick-off on Saturday. We go top, and if Chelsea are more than capable of picking up points against Spurs, we can be top of the league, especially with all these injury worries we've had. Like, I wouldn't have done it any differently apart from a Minamino for Origi. That would have been it. Like, he made the right choice in my decision, in my opinion. That this was the game to do it. This was the game to do it. If it was more tight and we would have maybe drew a couple, and it was like with a point ahead of the top of the group, then maybe you would have thought, right, he needs to go out there and go, right, fuck this, we're the best in this group. Best team, bang, couple of goals, 3-0. 4 points clear at the top, but the fact is we had a cushion, and I think that was it. And I think that's what it comes full circle to the beginning when we started. Maybe, like Matt said, a bit of arrogance, a bit of complacency crept in with the younger team, and we thought we battered them, we can do it again, and we just didn't hit the heights, and the heights nowhere near as good, and they played us at our own game, really, just like we usually do, 100 miles an hour everywhere over the pitch. They did that to us, and it doesn't feel good having to taste your own medicine, but they were boss, so you can't deny that, and they deserved the win. It was just a shame the way it went, but I definitely wouldn't have changed starting 11 apart from Oxlade.
Yeah, 100%. It's not the players he picked; it's just the manner of the attitude that they walked out on the pitch with. I can't shake it. Like, I've had my little rant, and I'm still, like, I could feel this just anger inside. It's just because if you put any of us in a Liverpool kit, we're going to run our hearts out, and, like, regardless of who it's against.
No, mate, I'm 35 years of age. I don't think I fucking would.
Right, you'd run for 5 seconds, then you request a something. Yeah. It's infuriating that, because you know how good these players can be. Like, you know that Mane can, if Mane wanted to, he could just rip up any defense. If Salah wanted to, he could rip up any defense. And they couldn't pass a ball 5 yards today. It was just the complete wrong attitude to seal the group, to literally, okay, group's done. Like, we can chill now. Like, just focus on the Prem. We don't have to worry about Champions League anymore.
No, good point, mate. It really is a good point. And
the attitude is just infuriating.
Does Matt, I know you're saying about the attitude, and you are absolutely spot on because the attitude stunk for a lot of players tonight. And when you look at Salah, who hadn't played at the weekend, he should have been the one that was really chomping at the bit. And we said that, didn't we, when the team news came out? We were made up. Mark's just said he's 53, so yeah, he's like us. He'd run for like 2 minutes and then he'd be out of breath. And I'll be on the sideline with you, Mark, with a beer. I'll have a beer waiting for you, mate. Once you're out of breath. But does the whole, and again, before anybody laps onto it about this making a fucking excuse for the performance, because there's no fucking excuse, but does the every 3 days come into it at the minute where it's like you think, oh, I've got another game now, and oh, I've got to play again, and I think, oh, for fuck's sake, because it could be anything, your job comes into it all the time and stuff like that, and it's like, whereas normal people, it's like, oh, I've got to get up for work tomorrow, ugh. And you get lethargic and all that sort of stuff. And Mick, does that come into it, given how the fixtures are piled up at the minute? Or do you think the players were just like, well, I'm not asked, I'd rather win on Saturday?
For me, if I was a footy player, and growing up as a kid playing footy, you love playing footy. What the feeling you get from most Liverpool players when they do an interview is they want, if anything, they want more games. They want to just keep rolling over and playing footy. And I understand energy levels and that come into it. That's why we've seen a lot of changes tonight. But I don't know. It's hard to say that it was that the worry that there's so many games. I think it was just, like I said, complacency. I honestly think that's all it was. I think it was they were better than us. We were a bit shit, and we just went on it. Like you said, Salah weren't. The pass, he nearly gave a goal away straight away. Illich should have scored, and then even Mane was getting into spaces, and his touch weren't quite there, and his passing weren't quite there. I think we had one middle of the first half where got played into Mane's feet, and you expect him to turn on it, bang, curl it right into the right hand channel for Salah, and we're 2-on-2, and he kind of mishit it, and Salah just about kept it in for going out for a throw in, and it was just little things like that where you could see, you want it to be a little oh right, this first half maybe we're going to be shit, second half will come out, but it was just that was just a sign of the things to come, and it was just just kept happening, and then they punished us, and I can't really sum it up better than that, unfortunately.
No, you can't. But what we're going to do now is we're going to sum it up in the most positive way possible. Okay, Matthew,
it can't get any worse. That's positive. It can't get any worse. So it says up from here. It literally, if it gets worse, then it can't get worse.
I don't think it's going to, mate. At the end of the day, you've got to think about this football team has spoiled us for the last couple of years, where we've gone win after win after win after win, and it should become expectant of Liverpool. Whereas we rewind the clock back 10 years ago, it was lost, draw, won, draw, loss, win, and when we got those wins, it was a big high for us, and it was unexpected, and those were the days of it was a slog. But I think as a fan base, we've been spoiled for the last couple of years, where we're just getting win after win after win after win after win. Again, one of the positives that's come out of it, Tomo's just said it as well, at least no one got injured, which is great. That's a massive plus for us that no one's been injured. I think Matip coming off was a whole rapid cotton wool, because I didn't think Matip was going to come off, and he did. So obviously he could be playing on Saturday. But Matt, go for it, mate. Let's just sum it up as positive as we can before we go off here.
I think Reece Williams had a good game, all things considered. I'm very impressed by him. I think it's that man bun hairstyle. Any centre back with a man bun apparently is just ripping it up for Liverpool. So I hope he keeps that going. Shimikas is okay. And Nico Williams doesn't deserve any grief. So
okay, that's individual. Now sum it up overall of what the result means in the grand scheme of things, and how can you stay?
It doesn't matter. Literally, the result in itself doesn't matter. We've got plenty of time to do it again. The attitude is the only issue, but this Liverpool team will undoubtedly come out next time with a better one. Whether that's personal pride or Klopp just ripping the shit out of them. But yeah, plenty of time to make it right. Just frustrating.
Absolutely. And like Greg's just said, there's always going to be inconsistency with so many team changes. It's never a good thing, and it absolutely isn't. And I think we're, like Mick said earlier, we're changing this team more than we should do, given the level of injuries that we've got and COVID and all that bollocks. But Mick, again, to join at what Matt's just said, can you just sum up on how, people that are watching us or watch it tomorrow or whatever, just leave this show going, do you know what, actually, it's not that bad getting beat 2-0 by Atalanta.
Positivity, you, aren't you?
Right?
Mr. Positivity, you, aren't you?
Yeah, you've got to be, otherwise you're just not going to win at life unless you're positive.
Well, the thing is, like, if we draw against Ajax next game, we're through to the next round. That is it. Like, we knew it was a cushion. Klopp knew it was a cushion. We had a cushion. He picked the team to reflect that. We've got found out by a boss Atalanta team, and with a lot of changes, we can do it in the next game. That's it. Like, Ajax obviously won tonight, but if we draw against them next time in the next game, we're through, and we've done it with a game to spare. Because we've still got to play Midgetland as well, haven't we? So Matt's favourite team, but usually we make it a lot harder.
Yeah.
We make it a lot. We always make it the hardest route you can possibly think of. That's how Liverpool do it. In fact, we've actually done it quite all right so far. Like 9 points out of 4 games. If we beat Ajax, which I imagine Klopp will be like, right, you took the piss last game, lads. This time, fucking batter these, and I imagine we'll beat Ajax at home, and that'll be it. And then that'll be done and dusted with a game to spare. Then you can throw fucking how many kids out you want against the Midgetland and go and have a field day, like Kane and Cometio. Throw them all out, give them a little go, and then concentrate on the Prem, because we all want the Prem. We're doing, like, with all these injuries we've had, I thought we would struggle a lot more than we have. Like, we all did. Like, Van Dijk going out, we all were like shitting our pants, and then Gomez gets injured, then Trent gets injured, and it's like it was just a whole domino effect, and we're all worrying that there's gonna be a drop in level, and then we play Leicester and batter them with like 6 first teamers missing, and a replication of the proper first team performed against one of our who were top of the league, and we battered them. So that's the thing, and we've got to think that we've got all these players come back in. Like, we didn't have Hendo tonight, we didn't have Thiago. Those to come back in. Fabinho came off the bench. Obviously, he's going to start at the weekend, I imagine, alongside Matip. So there was a lot of youth players playing there, and when you change them for the actual players who usually play, it's a whole completely prospect. And like Brighton on the weekend, I imagine maybe it's a good thing in a way that we got beat, because then he goes, right, let's make it right at the weekend, and we'll absolutely blow Brighton away and go top of the league, and then Spurs play Chelsea the day after, and then they might drop points, and then we're top of the league, but properly, like, not just joint top. Maybe that's it.
Set that. Let's set that all day. You fucking
just to get your raw reaction, because during the week we'll have calmed down. Who you start right back against Brighton?
James Milner.
Mick?
Millie, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
I probably would have started right back tonight, to be honest, just because he did so well at the weekend if he was going to play. But obviously he wanted to change it up a little bit, and like Mick said earlier, it was absolutely spot on to give both Williams lads a chance. And I think again, it's the experience, and maybe Klopp was thinking maybe if it's not too big of a deal if we do get beat tonight, because we have got that cushion, like you said earlier. But again, boys, there was, okay performances from a couple of lads. Again, we've still got that cushion. We can still qualify, no problem, with a game to spare, which, we don't usually do that in the group stage. I'd rather do it with a game to spare, to do it with minutes to go at the end of the day. I think that's what we've all got to remember. Plus, as well, obviously, we've got Brighton at the weekend, early kick-off. It's and I follow Tuesday, and then Wolves at home the following Saturday. So it's going to be another tough week for Liverpool. We do this every couple of days now, isn't it? That's the fucking brilliant thing about it. So we will be back on Friday with the build-up to the Brighton game. We'll be back Saturday doing the aftermath of the Brighton game when we fucking battered them 17-0, and we've got the goal difference back again. And then on Sunday, don't forget, we're going to be back. We're doing our worst Premier League 11s and your worst Liverpool 11. So that should be juicy. We'll do that on Sunday night as well. So we're doing that this week. Well, we've still got plenty of time to do it, so change it up as much. Shocking
players that have played in the Premier League. It's so hard.
I know. We'll get there, mate. We will. But again, listen, boys and girls, thanks very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. As per usual, thanks to Greg for jumping on. Tomo, good to see you again, mate. Mark Smith, nice little shout out to Mick, which is all good. And again, thank you very much for joining us. Don't be too downhearted about it, boys. We are still top of the group. We'll still crack on. I'm sure we'll still get to the knockout stage. And yeah, we'll be right there with you to take you through it. See you next time.